5 seconds.
I have 5 seconds.
3, 2, call timeout.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Danvers Zoning Board of Appeals. We are now in session, and I'd like to start off by asking you to turn off your cell phones or set them to vibrate or silence so we are not interrupted. I'll introduce our zoning board members down to my right. Returning to us without technical difficulties tonight, Jeff Sauer. Our clerk tonight is Mr. Ken Scholes. Myself is the chairman, John Bowner. To my left is Ken Jarvinen, and all the way down the end is Corrine Doherty. Here from our planning division, our planning director, Mr. Brian Zucchelli. And zoning board members, we're in receipt of minutes for both April 10th, May 8th, and September 11th, as the April and May meeting minutes were revised and reissued. I'd like to get a motion to accept those if there's no further discussion.
So moved.
I got a motion
I will second.
and a second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Folks, I'm going to take a couple of seconds here just to recap how we work the zoning board. Our clerk will read the docket number and your case. We ask that you go up to that microphone and clearly speak into it, identify yourself and your address if it applies, and present what you'd like to do. From there, we'll turn it over to the Board of Appeals, where we'll ask questions of the applicant. And at that point, once the board has completed asking all their questions, I will open it up for public comment. And again, ask the public to come up to the microphone and identify yourself. Ask your questions and not redundant questions. And at that point, I will close the public hearing and we will turn it back over to the Zoning Board of Appeals and we will deliberate. You're here and allowed to hear our deliberation as this is a public meeting. And from there, we'll be able to explain your options based on the comments from the zoning board members. So with that said, Mr. Clerk, I think we have a withdrawal of our first case.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The first continued case is 58 Burley Street, zoned R2. Request for a special permit under Section 9.2 to build an extended family living area that will be located in a detached structure in greater than 750 square feet, 867 square feet proposed. Request made by Jason Como and Michelle Russell, care of James DeBurrow, docket 23-5034. Mr. Chairman, we have a receipt of an email from Mr. DeBurrow dated September 12th. He would like to withdraw without prejudice at this time.
Okay, could I get a motion, please?
I move that we entertain a withdrawal of 58 Burley Street.
And a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Moving right along.
The next case is 6 South Liberty Street, zoned R2. Request for a special permit under Section 9.3 of the zoning bylaw to store outdoor containers for longer than 100 consecutive days on a residentially zoned parcel. Relief is also sought for performance standards in Section 9.3.C 1, 2, and 3 that cannot be met by the proposal. Request is made by Cesar Guerrero, docket 23-5036.
Is anybody here on 6 South Liberty Street? Yeah, come on up. And just before you get started, I'm going to go out to our planning director as I'd like him to brief us as to how we are before us tonight and kind of what has transpired to date. If you could, Mr. Zucchelli.
Sure. So this application is the result of an enforcement order that was started in December of 2022 for the operation of a contractor's yard and storage of trucks, trailers, and equipment in a residential zone. Concerns related to the contractor's yards have been quelled at some level. Storage containers do remain on the property. We've given enforcement letters to Mr. Guerrero and instructed him to remove the containers on December 13th of 2022, January 5th, January 20th, February 24th, and March 13th. A total of 3 fines at $300 each were levied against Mr. Guerrero for a total of $900. During the past 9 months, there has been significant progress on the site. We generally have been very happy with the overall progression on the site. It's been much better.
Okay.
It was slower than we had wanted, but there has been significant progress. So where we are today is that the application is for, at the moment, an indeterminate amount of time that they're asking for the continuation of the storage trailers. Typically, there's a number, a day, a month, a number of months certain
Requested, okay.
requested. There wasn't in this application, so I think that's the conversation for this evening.
Okay, and again, before I have you start, I think I'm a little unclear because your application has checked off both that you're requesting a variance and a special permit. Is that accurate? I guess I'm looking to the applicant, but are you seeking both? Or are you seeking a special permit, or variance, or both?
Both.
Both. Okay, go ahead and please present what you'd like to the board.
O dile que yo necesito.
And if you could start by identifying yourself.
He's just
Right up into the microphone, we won't be able to hear you.
My first name is Vanessa Guerrero. My dad is Cesar Guerrero.
Okay, if you could step a little closer, I still can't hear you.
My first name is Vanessa Guerrero,
Okay,
and this is my father, Cesar Guerrero.
okay.
Yo necesito que.
And I take it you live at 6 South Liberty?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is it you're looking for this board to do for you?
Que tú quieres
¿Qué es lo que tú quieres?
que yo quiero tener un espacio para si puedo parquear tener cuatro.
He is requesting to be able to have 4 parking spaces in the area that is the next to
Yeah.
our home.
4 parking spaces.
Yes.
Dile que el área es bien grande.
Okay.
I don't know if you've been to the area, but it's a huge
Yep,
piece of land that he
we
has
have.
on that
All right,
side.
so let me just, sorry to interrupt you, but, so the request that came into us is a request to keep a storage trailer on the property. Is that no longer the
That
request?
as well. He still has that currently.
Okay, so,
So on top of that, he would like to add 4 parking spaces if possible.
4 parking spaces and a storage trailer, okay.
Yes.
So, typically, an applicant would provide us with some kind of drawing or map of the lot indicating that. We didn't get that in your package. All we have is some photographs of the area, and the first I'm hearing about the parking space request is right now, which is okay, but we really, I think from the town's perspective, we're here to talk about the trailer and perhaps the other things that are stored on that lot, as it is a residential lot. And
Yes.
so there's different rules around that. Is there anything else you would like to tell us about that lot or other requests?
No había como un drawing o algo enseñando el espacio que tú tienes ahí y es ahora es el primero que él está oyendo que tú quieres 4 espacios del parking. Él no
Dile
sabía
que yo puedo traer el espacio que tengo. Dile
que tú
que
puedes
yo
traer
puedo
que-
traer el espacio que hay del tamaño.
Would it help if he were to like bring the drawing or tell you how many feet or the area, how big the area is?
Well, yeah, it definitely would help, yeah.
Okay.
But that's something usually that we would have ahead of time, so the board would have a chance to kind of review, not even kind of.
Right, I don't think he was aware.
Yeah, oh, that's fine, we're here to try to work with you, and figure this all out. However, I think, and I'm gonna hand it over to the board, because I think I think what makes the most sense is let us ask questions, let the public ask questions if there are any, and then maybe you can gather all that information and ask for a continuance tonight and come back to a later meeting with all the things
information.
that we're looking for, and perhaps we can help work through this. But before I hand it over to the board, the one thing that Mr. Zacchelli noted, and I too have the same concern, there's no, you don't detail how long you want the storage container. So that would be my question right out of the gate
Okay.
here is, we wouldn't give it open-ended, I don't think, at least I wouldn't as one board
Él
member,
quiere saber cuánto tiempo tú quieres el trailer ahí.
as it's a residential lot.
Pues dile que ahí yo guardo cosas que cuando yo me vaya para Santo Domingo, que me voy maybe 5 o 6 años, es que yo...
He would like it permanently on there, as long as
Permanently,
he's
okay.
living there.
All right, that answers my question for that. I'm gonna now hand it off to the board members and let them ask questions of
If
me.
I could add a piece of information, we live across the street from a business.
Yes.
It's like a garden center, I believe.
I'm very familiar with it.
And they use that lot to park some of their customers sometimes.
Okay.
Just wanted to add that piece.
Well, but that's your property, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
But doesn't have a problem for me, I don't care for use it.
Yeah, no, I think we'll ferret all this out through questions. So I'm gonna turn it over to the board members, and maybe you can kind of get a feel for where things are at.
Yeah.
Jeff, let's start down there with you.
Thank-
Sorry, before Jeff, do you have anything else you want to present to us? I've got, so far you want, no timeline on the trailer, and you would like 4 parking spots.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
¿Tú querías otra cosa?
No, it's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
That's it?
All set.
Very good.
Ahora,
Yeah.
la gente...
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
So-
pregunta para ti.
You want 4 parking spaces, and what would these 4 parking spaces be used for, and when would the vehicles be parked there and not be parked there?
Él quiere saber que por qué tú quieres los parqueos, qué tú vas a hacer con ellos y cuánto tiempo los carros van a estar parqueados ahí.
Son parqueos que se usan de noche y de día se va, la gente se parquean y se van de día y de noche nada más se parquean.
So it would be like an overnight parking. People would park their cars overnight, and then they would go to work in the morning.
Okay, and these would be 4 spaces for just regular vehicles, not trucks or construction equipment or anything?
It's a small truck,
Small trucks, no construction equipment there.
nothing.
Okay, I don't have any other questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks,
I'll
Jeff. Ken.
wait for some other questions.
So you're proposing 1 trailer to be stored on this site?
Correct.
It's a tractor trailer?
Yes, it's there currently.
Not to be nosy, but what's in the tractor trailer that you need something like that on this lot?
My parents are getting ready to retire in like the next 5 years or so, and they are storing things there. So when they go back to their home country, the Dominican Republic, they can pack up all their things and go at that point.
Okay. I don't have any other questions, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Ken J.
So back to those parking spaces. So those parking spaces are just regular resident, they're not for business use, are they? Is it for a business or is it just regular residential use?
Que si es para un negocio,
No, es regular business. No es un business, son de las personas que se parquean, pero no es un business.
it's not like a business use, I guess. Is what he's saying.
All right, so is it for people that are living in your house, your establishment,
Él
Or
está
is it-
preguntando si es, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just wondering if, are they for sale? I'm just trying to grasp what they're for. Is it for people already living there, you need more parking spaces for the residents, or
Él está
is it,
preguntando si es para gente que va a vivir ahí en la casa o que tú vas a rentar los espacios.
No. Que gente que vienen y se parquean y se van. No es para rentarlo. Son personas que son conocidas de uno y se parquean de noche y se van de día.
He's requesting the 4 spaces because of like friends or acquaintances that need the space, and he figures he has so much that he would allow, well, if you would allow the 4 spots to be taken up for that. They do not live on the residence, no.
Okay, thanks. I have no other questions.
Thank you. Corinne?
I'm trying to like figure out exactly what's going on here. So you say you live, like across, do you live in the house that's next door? Because it looks like the spot is kind of like a vacant lot. So
Correct.
is it 2 lots, you live next door, and then there's the vacant lot that the trailer's on?
So that vacant lot that you're saying pertains to the home, like it's all one property.
It's all one property, but you
Yes.
have all of the property kind of to the right?
Correct.
And do you know the size of that trailer? I mean, it's huge. Do you know what the
I-
dimensions of it are?
¿Tú sabes de qué grande es el trailer que tú tienes ahí parqueado?
Ahora, de 40 pies, 40 feet.
Like 40 feet, he says.
Okay. And as far as the people that would be using these parking spaces, you say they don't live in the area. So they're going to come and drop their car off, and then will they walk to where they live? Will someone else pick them up? It's just an unusual situation that they don't park where they live.
Right. I believe it's because they can't or don't have the space where they are at. I don't know if like they get picked up. I don't know any of that.
Okay, but, I mean,
Ella está preguntando, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to translate.
okay, no, that's fine, go
Ella
ahead.
está preguntando que ella no entiende que por qué la gente viene a parquearse ahí, después cómo se van, si lo vienen a recoger, o lo que pasa después de ahí.
Lo que pasa es que se van, ellos vienen de noche de trabajar, los dejan ahí, se van en sus carros y al otro día vuelven y se van a trabajar y vienen. Es una rutina. Nunca están ahí de día. Miren también que la gente del freno,
Yo le dije eso al principio,
Que
que
yo-
la gente del frente usan ese espacio para parquearse para el negocio.
ya, ok.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, it's kind of an unusual situation. Usually when people are asking for more parking, it's for people who live on the property and they need like additional parking for that. But you're saying that that's not the case. It's not for the people that are living on the, in the house that's on the property, correct?
No.
Okay, no further questions, thank you.
Thanks, Corinne. And before I go out to you, I'm going to go to our planning director for maybe some clarification. Brian, so I did a site visit yesterday, and from what I understand, 6 South Liberty Street is a yellow residential home. But as I look at this, this map, I see Lot 1, Lot 2, and Lot 3. I believe Lot 1 is a different address?
No, so the parcel map is up here on, so that's the whole parcel for 6 South Liberty, which includes that wetland area there towards the south.
It's a 63 square feet you have
But this is the whole piece
for the area.
in red.
Okay, so the house is at the north side of it.
63,000 square feet.
So even though on this map, but we have in our packet, it shows Lot 2 and 3, they're actually combined to all be considered the address of 6 South Street.
Yeah, it's
This is South Liberty, sorry.
1.6 acres is the
1.6
is the
acres.
total
Okay.
property.
And so my question, Mr. Guerrero, is you've owned this property since when?
¿Cuándo fue que tú compraste la casa?
2004? 2004?
2004, 2000, that kind of agrees with the
2006.
deed, that makes sense to me. So my follow-up to that is, how long has the trailer been there? I would imagine it's, I mean, I used to shop at the farm stand across the street, and I can remember the trailers being there, I believe, then. So they've been there since you purchased the home, or did you build these houses and these trailers were already there? I guess that's what I'm trying to understand.
¿Cuándo fue que llegaron los trailers a la casa?
Hace como 3 años. Pero dile que el problema vino, porque los trailers siempre estaban ahí, era que cuando el hombre del frente murió, que eso lo vendieron, esa gente, Él fue que nos vendió la tierra a nosotros cuando construimos la casa y no había problema con él nunca. Y después que llegó este hombre fue que hubo el problema. ¿Te acuerdas del otro hombre que estaba?
Yeah, pero esos trailers están ¿cuánto tiempo ahí?
Más de 5 años ahí.
Yeah, the trailers have been there a really long time.
But when
And
he-
what was your question? I'm sorry.
Well, no, that's fine. So when he purchased 6 South Liberty in 2005, which is what the deed's telling us,
2006.
2006, was the trailer on the
The
lot
deed
at that
to-
time, or is that something he brought to the lot?
The deed to this front lot is what you're asking?
Yes.
Because he's saying that when the farm stand that is across from us, they sold that piece of land to my dad.
Okay.
And I think the trailers were there. Estaban ahí.
Okay, so
We're there.
So he didn't bring the trailer there.
No.
He bought the land. The trailer was on it.
Yes.
And so okay, I understand that piece. However, there's other items on this lot as well, besides the trailer. I think there's an old camper. There's a lot of what appears to be construction debris. What is the plan to clean that stuff up?
El camper está ahí todavía.
No. Nothing.
The camper isn't there any longer.
Yeah.
Y él
I was
dice
just
que-
there yesterday. Did it disappear?
The camper, no es my property. Camping, no. Ese no es my property.
Como el
El trailer, yes. One trailer here, that's all right now. But the camping, no camping, no.
como la casita esa, la cosa
Eso no es de
chiquita.
nosotros.
Pero él
When
dice
I was
que
there
eso está ahí.
yesterday, I saw a lot of old cinder block, a
Como-
camper that was just slightly deeper than the trailer.
Oh, ahí no hay casa.
No, casa no, como una.
All right, well, I don't want to bog down the meeting. It sounds like there's maybe a little confusion
Yeah,
around
maybe.
that. But
Espérate.
I guess I would just, and maybe this is more for comments, but, you know, this is and I understand the history of this lot. And I believe even myself have parked there when I used to go to the farm stand across the street. But this is zoned for residential, so this is a very unusual request to ask for a trailer, a permanent trailer, in a residential neighborhood. So I guess just keep that in mind with, when we're trying to kind of put something together here. Because
Right.
to me, I'm glad there's a residential home on this lot. However, the rest of this lot doesn't look residential at all to me. So I guess, and maybe I'll go back to you, Brian. Does a resident who
La cita es de la otra casa, del negocio.
is in R2,
No, no es eso.
they want to
Es
have
una cosa
10
que está
parking
al lado,
spots
al
or
lado- al lado
2
del
parking
trailer.
spots or
Él
10.
dice que tú tienes
Is
otras
that
cosas ahí todavía.
incumbent upon the town to dictate that? Or if they have the land, they can
Estaba ahí ayer.
do as they
Quiero que le
will,
voy a
as
decir.
long as it's not wetlands?
Ahí no hay nada.
Right. Yeah. I mean, parking is not paving is not an issue. The issue is whether or not you're using it essentially as a contractor's yard, using it to rent out space for other larger vehicles that can't be either on the street or can't be off street because you can't have more than one off street. So it's weird. You wouldn't, it's still unclear exactly how many even light trucks or other types of vehicles, commercial vehicles, would be on the property. So I think, there's still more information that needs to
Okay.
be had.
Okay. I guess at this point, I don't have additional questions, but I just want to make sure it's clear to you that you understand that this, when the average person or even zoning board members or the planning department looks at this lot, it doesn't look residential. It looks like a contractor's yard. It looks like a commercial or industrial space. And that wouldn't be what this board drives towards, right? We're trying to drive to make things more in compliance. So I guess I'll just leave you with that thought. But
have one more
with that said, go ahead, Ken.
Just one more question. You told me that you folks have stuff in the trailer and that they're gonna basically move it back to the Dominican at some point, correct?
Right.
So then why do you need a trailer indefinitely?
He says he's gonna retire in 5 years. I'm not sure. He's not gonna give me a time. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So he's asking for.
Maybe I'll give you right now 61, maybe 66. Gotta go my country again.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Kareem.
So what you're saying is that you bought the portion of the land in front, and then recently you purchased the second piece that's kind of like the vacant lot from the owners of Gibney's across the street?
Fue que tú compraste la parte de adelante de la gente del Garden Center.
No, cuando compré la casa, todo eso era mío. Todo el lado.
He's saying that when he first purchased the home, it was the whole area.
All the-
But you bought it
Pero-
from Gibney's,
La-
the owner of the garden center that was across the street. You purchased it from them?
El área, ninguna área tú la compraste de la gente.
No, yo compré la casa con todo el área.
Okay, porque ahorita tú estás diciendo que sí.
Que no, yo eso. Si dije eso.
Sorry, it was my misunderstanding. No. When
Okay.
he first bought the home, it was the entire lot.
No,
How long has the trailer been on the lot?
Sounds like from day one.
From day
Yes.
one?
Yeah.
It's been there. I mean, since I've known, it's been forever. It's always been there.
When you purchased it, it was on the lot?
Cuando tú compraste la casa, el trailer estaba ahí.
no, vino después.
Papi, estamos bien confundidos entonces. Porque
Tú dijiste que sí. No. This is trailer you coming here for maybe 4 years.
pero
Me-
tú lo trajiste, ¿quién lo trajo?
Mi amigo lo puso ahí, le estamos guardando cosas que nos vamos a llevar para Santo Domingo. I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
No,
Sorry.
that's okay. So you just purchased it approximately 4 years ago to store stuff in?
The trailer, yes.
Okay. Okay, no further questions.
Okay, any further questions from board members? I'm going to go out to the public on this. Anybody here to speak on 6 South Liberty Street?
Ahora le van a dar un chance a la gente para que hablen de eso
I
también.
don't see any, oh, yes, Mr. Bradstreet, come on up. If you could just step back and let this man ask his question.
Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. My concern with this area would be part of it is being used for other than what it was supposed to be used for. I believe they said they purchased this in 2004. It's 19 years has gone by. I used to deal with Mr. Gibney. I just find it hard to envision this being what they want it to be, asking for a trailer. It says on here, it says containers, doesn't say container unless that's a typo. And they want it there for 180 days. I can just picture that after 180 days, operating a business, that they would come back and ask for more time and more time.
Yeah,
And
no,
I just-
they haven't even asked, they're asking for it indefinitely.
I would disagree with.
So you're not in favor of this?
No, sir. No,
Very
I'm not.
good, thank you. Anyone else on the public on 6 South Liberty? Yeah, come on up.
Joanne Magucci, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 2. Yeah, I have a lot of concerns about this. It doesn't really add up is why they need 4 parking spaces for people or acquaintances to randomly park there. Why would they need to park there in the first place? And if they can't park where they live, is it commercial vehicles that can't be parked where they live? And are those commercial vehicles tied to a business that's going to be run out of that lot or not? I mean, so these are real questions that I think should be answered, because I think we need to keep the integrity of neighborhoods. And I'm not sure if what they're asking is going to keep the integrity of a neighborhood and to build a better neighborhood. So I'm very uncomfortable with those 4 spaces. I see what's happening now in the town with a lot of commercial vehicles. That's another subject for another day, but, and as with the container, if I was a neighbor, absolutely not. I don't understand why a storage unit cannot be rented or the container can't be stored by a storage area that will take the container. I don't understand why it needs to be on a lot next to your house indefinitely. So those are a lot of questions that are just coming in my mind, and I hope the board can take those questions and concerns under consideration. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Anyone else here on 6 South Liberty?
Chair.
Yes.
There was a few people that could not come this evening, and we did receive one email from Miss Andrea Daly saying that she essentially was not in favor of this petition.
Very good. Okay. All right, I'm going to close the public hearing at this point. You can come on up. Come on back up. We're going to deliberate now, which will tell you kind of where the board's at with your request. And at that point, you can decide if you want to try to continue this, withdraw it, or have us take a vote.
Okay.
All right? Jeff, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm a little perplexed because we really haven't got enough information about the vehicles in the parking spaces. But as far as the trailer goes, I am a no on a variance, absolutely, for sure. A variance goes with the property, and I'd be more open to a very short-term temporary solution as a special permit, but I'm definitely a no on the variance. And I'm probably, I'd rather probably see a continuance and get more information on the vehicles and the parking spaces, but I'm going to be a pretty hard sell on those two. It's a residential lot. It needs to look like a residential lot. So I am no on the variance and a probable no, but I'll hold for more information if they decide to take a continuance.
Very good, thank you. And Ken?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As far as the parking spaces, I'm not voting on that at all. It's not in the application, so it has nothing to do with this to me. As far as the trailer goes, most people, when they want to store something, they're not going to pull a trailer on their lot. They're going to build a shed, they're going to build a garage, or go to get a pods or a U-Haul. That's what most people do. You're asking for a trailer for free. You're going to store stuff for free. You don't have to build anything, don't have to rent anything. And this is zoned R2. I don't think this trailer should even be there at all. So I'm a no.
Very good. Ken J.
I agree basically with my colleagues. The parking spaces, we don't have enough information, and it seems like it's more towards commercial and not residential, so I don't think it fits the needs, but we still need more information on that if you want to continue with that. But the trailer, I think we need a time limit on it. Indefinitely is not, for me, I don't think it's feasible. But some time frame to work it out, maybe like 3 months or something like that, to get the stuff into a proper storage location would be feasible for me.
Thanks, Ken. Karine?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with my colleagues. I am definitely a no on the variance. And as far as the special permit, I would only grant it maybe for a few months, as Ken said, so that you can make other arrangements for the things that are in there and remove the trailer, the 40-foot trailer from the property. And as far as the parking spaces, we really don't have any information, so as of now, I'm a no on that.
Thank you, Karine. Mr. Guerrero, you don't have the votes, but I will give you my comments. I think part of what has transpired here is you bought a lot that was kind of an as-is lot, came with a trailer. and you're trying to make use of it. However, that lot being zoned as residential, it has a contractor look, contractor type feel to it, and to try to grant 4 parking spots to vehicles that would be a continuum of a contractor's type lot, I couldn't get behind, and I certainly wouldn't agree to an open-ended, trailer storage indefinitely. So I would agree with Corinne and Ken that if perhaps you wanted to come up with some kind of timeline saying, 2 to 3 months, that you'd have the trailer out of there by then. But the point is that this is a residential lot, and that it should look like a residential lot and function as a residential lot. And I think what you're asking for are not in that vein. So I am a no. At this point, you could ask for a continuance and try to present something new to the board, but I think it's pretty clear that none of the board members want to see the parking spots that you are asking for tonight. They weren't in your application, and certainly none of us want to have a trailer there. If we vote and you're denied, you wouldn't be able to come back before us for 2 years, or you could withdraw without prejudice. So what would you like to do?
We would like to ask for a continuance.
Okay, our next meeting date is October 16th. I have that correct?
Yes.
Is that agreeable, October 16th? And then if you have new plans or a new timeline on the trailer and things of this nature, we just ask that they be submitted the Tuesday prior to the 16th, and I don't know that date. But I'm gonna guess it's the 8th?
The Tuesday is the 10th.
The 7th?
The 10th.
The 10th. So we would need something, and that way it can get distributed out
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the zoning board members. So we'd need a new plan by October 10th, and we'll continue to October 16th.
Okay.
Okay, could I get a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I propose that we continue this case to our October 16th meeting.
I'll second.
I got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any further discussion? Very good. We'll see you October 16th. Thank you. All right. Let's go right ahead, Mr.
Okay.
Clerk.
Our next case is 24 Berry Street, zoned R1. Request for a variance to allow the installation of a pool that will be located closer to the front property line than permitted as of right. Request is made by Michelle and Thomas Evans, care of Nancy McCann Esquire, docket 23-5037.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you very much. My name is Nancy McCann. I'm here on behalf of the Evans family, Tom and Michelle Evans. Michelle Evans is here this evening. They are the owners of the property at 24 Berry Street. And as indicated, this is in the R1 zoning district. And Mr. Zacchelli, if you could put the plan up for me, that would be helpful. You may recall that the Evans appeared before you back in 2021 requesting a pool on this property. And at that time, the pool was proposed to be located in this area. Right there, which was along the frontage of Hunt Street. This property is a 10,000 square foot lot in an R1 zoning district, and it is a corner lot. It's on the corner of Hunt and Berry Street. The proposal at that time was to put the pool along the Hunt Street frontage, and the reason for that was because there was a very large tree on the back side of the house where the current pool is being proposed now. The board listened to the application at that time and made a couple of comments and suggestions to the applicant back in 2021. that, first of all, that the original pool as proposed back in 2021 was too large, and that the location at the front of the house, because the front of the house is facing Hunt Street, appeared to be inappropriate, and an inappropriate location for the pool. The board members asked at the time whether the pool could be made smaller, and also asked whether it could be relocated on the site. The applicant, and I didn't represent them at the time, however, they withdrew that application, and since that time they've been rethinking the proposal. They retained iron tree service, and you do have that information in the application package, to evaluate the health of the trees on the lot. And the large beech tree that was located at the rear of the house back in 2021 was found to be not very healthy. And you have that information in the package. And so the large tree had a rotted base, and it has been removed. The removal of that tree in the back now opened an opportunity that the applicants didn't have in 2021 to relocate the pool. Secondly, the applicants have dramatically reduced the size of the pool. They've basically cut the proposal for the size of the pool in half. They've reduced the size of the pool by about 48%. Back in 2021, the pool was proposed to be a 14 by 36 pool, which is 504 square feet. The current proposal is 12 by 22, which is 264 square feet. So it's a reduction in the size of the pool by 48%, which is certainly significant. So the proposal now is to locate the pool, as you see, up along Berry Street, which is actually at the rear of the house, and a much smaller size pool. Currently, along Berry Street and along the lot line, point to two areas. Along here and along here. There is an existing stockade fence. If you went out and you looked at the site, you would have seen that stockade fence. So the proposed pool, not only is it significantly smaller, it's proposed to be located behind an existing stockade fence. So this proposal, unlike what you saw in 2021, does not change the streetscape at all along Berry Street or along Hunt Street. There will be no change in the existing streetscape. So should this board approve the pool is installed, there won't be any change to the streetscape that you see now. Of course, this is as I indicated, a corner lot, and in the R1 zoning district, it's a small lot to begin with, having 10,000 square feet, and being a corner lot, the bylaw has a requirement that we need to meet the front setback from both streets. That requirement is certainly a hardship, particularly in this case, given the location of the existing structures, for requiring a 20-foot setback from both Berry Street and Hunt Street. So the request to you tonight is for a variance from the front setback off of Berry Street to allow the pool to be 8.1 feet off of the Berry Street setback, again, behind the existing stockade fence. 8 feet is the required side and rear setback in the R1 zoning district, so it is in keeping with that. You do have 2 letters of support. One is from 20 Berry Street, which is the direct abutter on Berry Street, indicating support for this application, as well as 16 Hunt Street, which is also across the street, but directly in proximity to the proposed pool. The Evans did go circulate around the neighborhood and have discussed this proposal with their neighbors, and they're not aware of any opposition to this proposal. The Evans have been residents of Danvers, as indicated in the letters of support, for about 20 years, and they certainly took to heart the comments that they received from this board back in 2021. They have relocated the pool to the rear of the house in what I think you'll find is a more appropriate location rather than in the front of the house, and cut the pool size in almost in half by 48%, owing to the fact that this is a corner lot, the location of the buildings. We also have a sewer easement, the imposition of the 20-foot front setback off of Berry Street would be a hardship for this applicant. We think this is an appropriate location, and again, there will be no changes to the streetscape at all, and as a result, the requested variance can be granted without a detriment to the public good and without derogating from the intent or purpose of the zoning bylaw. I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. I just have one before I turn it over. When that setback is calculated to the pool, is that to the edge of the water or to the coping deck?
To the coping. It's not to the edge of the water, correct.
Okay, and what determines the width of the coping? Is it based on the size of the pool? Or is
Yes.
the coping standard? I just don't know.
The coping is the edge of the pool, right? So there can be pavement or decking, as you would normally have around that, but it's the area as defined by what you would get your building permit for, which is the edge of the pool structure.
Okay. All right, that answered mine. Kareem, we'll start with you.
I don't have any questions, thank you.
Ken J.
So where is the easement again on the property? Okay, so then, yeah, well, you don't have much, yeah, so that's placed right in the middle there. All right, that's all I get. Thanks.
Thanks. Ken Schultz.
I don't have any questions, thank you.
Thank you. Jeff.
I don't have any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and I think, Attorney McCann, you answered mine, which was what is different from 2021 to today, and really what you detailed is you've moved the location and downsized the pool.
Exactly, which were the two objections really that we heard.
Yep.
I do have a copy of the plan that was submitted in 2021 if you want to see that.
I don't think that's necessary, so I just to say again, though, to me, I'm sorry, the size before was 36 by what?
The size before was 14 by 36.
14 by 36.
So it's a
Okay.
very significant reduction.
Yeah, I don't have any further questions. I'll go out to the public on this. Anyone here to be heard on 24 Berry Street? Yep, right there.
My name, excuse me, my name is Henry Gagnon. I live at 22 Chase Street. And I walk my dog by that corner every day, and I couldn't tell you what's behind that fence. So I don't believe, I support the installation of a pool, and I don't believe that if you weren't familiar with that neighborhood, that you would know there's a pool there.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else for 24 Berry Street? Yes, Mr. Bradstreet.
Again, Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. I would only ask for a condition that or a stockade fence remain there of that height and not be removed, period, or replaced with a chain link or anything.
I believe that's code, though. It has to be fenced in as a pool.
No, I'm not talking about it being
Oh,
fenced in.
the type of fence?
I'm talking about the type of fence. Stockade was mentioned, which is a more solid
Sure,
barrier.
sure.
You can't look through it. I
Sure,
don't
we
think
can
you
ask the applicant of that. And anything else?
No, do we
You in
get
favor?
invited to a pool party then?
Attorney McCann, just before you respond to that, I just want to note for the record that the 2 letters we've got in favor were from Steve Barnum, I believe, 20 Berry Street, and from David Butler, looks like 16 Hunt Street.
Correct.
And would you take a condition that there always be a stockade fence around this pool?
Yes.
Very good. Anyone else from the public on 24 Berry Street? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing, and we will come back and deliberate. Corinne, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The applicant, complied with all of the requests that we made when they put the original application in, and I am a yes.
Very good, thanks. Ken J.
I am also a yes.
Thank you. Ken?
Thank you. I'm a yes. Thank you for downsizing. Thank you for moving the location. I think the biggest impact, if any at all, would be 20 Berry Street, and they're in favor, so I'm a yes.
Very good. And Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's not as easily a slam dunk for me. We have a front setback to maintain a streetscape that, is pleasing to the neighborhood. And if you go to Berry Street, there's a lot of really beautiful homes, 20, 22. They're beautiful, beautiful homes. And I think the stockade fence is not very attractive. It's right up to the sidewalk. We can't control that with zoning. But if we put in this pool by variance, now they can have a structure that's pretty close to the sidewalk. So I was going to say no, but given the fact that the applicant has modified the design, to our wishes, it won't change the streetscape, and 20 and 22 don't seem to have any objection to it. So I'm a yes, but I'm a hesitant yes because of the fact that a variance is permanent.
Yep.
And we're taking away that front setback.
Duly noted. I as a former resident of the Back Bay, I know that neighborhood very well. I commend the Evans. I think their property looks very attractive. It's nice. There is a lot for a small R1 lot, more than most, with a very large garage, a very well-maintained house. The pool doesn't leave much room for anything else, but this is their oasis, and I'm not going to stand in the way of that. It's a corner lot. We've done a lot of forgiving on setbacks with corner lots, so I see this as no different to that. So you are willing to take in condition to maintain a stockade-type fence, which is what is there now, so I don't see it as more detrimental, so I'm a yes as well. So if I could get a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move to issue a variance in accordance with Table 2 to allow the installation of a pool that will be located closer to the front property line than permitted as of right. This condition does not affect other properties or structures in the same zoning district. A literal enforcement of the zoning bylaw would involve substantial hardship to the applicant. Granting this variance will not create a substantial detriment to the public good and will not nullify or derogate from the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw.
Second.
I've got a motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you
Thanks.
very much.
You got it.
Good luck.
Okay. Let's press on there, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our last case is 98 Newberry Street. This is highway corridor zoned. Request a finding from section 3.10.d of the Danvers Zoning Bylaw to allow the expansion of an existing mobile home park to provide 35 new mobile homes on site where 98 currently exists. The site is 7.09 acres and located in the highway corridor zone. Request is made by Temar Properties LLC, care of Nancy McCann, Esquire, docket 23-5038.
And Attorney McCann, before you start, we were in receipt of a letter from you stating that indeed there are not 98 currently existing, there are 72. Is
Correct.
that accurate?
That is correct.
Okay, so we'll make that change to our application that there are 72 and you're looking to add 35. And with that said,
Correct.
floor is yours.
Highway corridor zone.
Good question. I'm paying attention to that there.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Nancy McCann. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Timar Properties LLC. With me tonight is Steve Tedesco from Timar Properties. Also with me tonight is Michael Dodge, who is the property manager, and Will Shkuda, the project engineer, are also with me this evening. We are here to discuss with you the property located at 98 Newbury Street, that is located in the Highway Corridor Zone, HCZ, and consists of 7.09 acres. This is the site of the Danvers Mobile Home Park. This has been a mobile home park since the 1940s and is therefore a pre-existing non-conforming use in this zoning district. As recently as 2020, this board has granted findings to allow additional mobile homes. You may recall there was an old dilapidated single-family home on this property toward Route 1, and this board granted a finding to allow that to be removed and to allow several new mobile homes to be placed on the site at that time. The mobile home park, although a non-conforming use in the highway corridor zone, does provide needed affordable housing that is not only affordable housing, it offers home ownership as an option, which is somewhat rare these days. The applicant purchased this property in 2010. Since that time, he has made a number of different improvements to the site. There's been improvements to landscaping. The single-family dwelling that was on here that I mentioned a few minutes ago that was in dilapidated condition has been removed. And importantly, the property has been improved with sewer service. It did not previously have sewer service, and public sewer has been brought into the site. Currently, there are 72 mobile homes on the site, and the proposal is to add 35 new mobile homes. Each of those new homes will be in full compliance with the setback requirements in the Highway Corridor zoning district, which is a 25-foot setback. That is a higher setback, a greater setback than in any residential district. And that is met as shown on the plan submitted with the application for each of the new proposed homes. Each of the homes will have 2 bedrooms, and they're approximately 14 by 44 feet as indicated on the site plan. You have in your package an existing conditions plan as well as a proposed conditions plan. And with that, I think for purposes of going over the plan, I'm going to turn it over to Will Shkuda to walk you through the plan, and then I will finish after that.
Thank you.
Good evening, Will Shkuda from the Moore and Cameron Group. So the proposed development is going to be taking kind of place in the northern side of the property. Right now, it's pretty much vacant land, some grass and trees and just kind of overgrowth out there. There's an existing gravel road that the sewer actually goes up that gives access out to Center Street. And our proposal is actually going to utilize that as a fire entrance only. So we wouldn't have any vehicle traffic, daily traffic. It would just be for emergency vehicle only. As Nancy said, there's 35 proposed units. Each unit will have a single parking spot, and a 20-foot wide access road will be kind of developed around all the units. Stormwater management, we currently haven't designed anything fully yet, but we have looked at soils and kind of left some area on the down gradient side. The lot basically slopes from the north to the south, so we located the stormwater basin on the south. There's a wetland on the western side, and that kind of restricted some of the development, so that all that land, about 105 feet off the property line roughly, would remain fully undeveloped. Same thing with the back lot line, the northern property line. There is an existing kind of hedgerow, some deciduous trees, and those would remain, and the rest of the site would also fully comply to the site plan regulations. If there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Again, this property is located in the Highway Corridor Zone, and this is a grandfathered, pre-existing, non-conforming use. So we are requesting a finding and submit in our application that this use is, and what is proposed is not going to be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than what currently exists, and that is the standard for review for this application.
Somebody didn't listen at the beginning of the meeting. They have to have detention.
In I have gone through some of the more legal type of requirements when we're talking about substantially more detrimental. I have indicated that in the application, and I'll just cite to you that the use of the property as a mobile home park is not being altered. We are simply adding new mobile homes to the park, which does not change the use of the property at all. The proposed use is identical to the use now, which is the mobile home park. The proposed addition of the mobile home park, again, is identical in nature and purpose. And there will be no significant increase in noise or traffic or access or egress to the site, as the access and egress is entirely off of the much-traveled Route 1. There will be no access out to Center Street. That will be used only for emergency access purposes. There will be no change in the residential use, as I've indicated, of the mobile homes or the hours in which the mobile home park has activity. Should the finding be granted, you should be aware that this project would go to the planning board for site plan review. Site plan review would handle such items as landscaping, parking, stormwater management, as Will had mentioned as well. So site plan review would be required. In accordance with Section 30.4 of the zoning bylaw, the criteria for the finding under Section 30.4 has all been met. The municipal water and sewer systems will not become overloaded by the proposed use. Mobile home development and uses use very small amount of water, certainly in comparison to single-family homes generally. The public streets will not become overloaded by the proposed use. Again, the access and egress is directly out onto Route 1. The value of other land and buildings will not be depreciated by the proposed use. The specific site is an appropriate location for the use. This is a grandfathered use. It has been the use of this site since, again, the 1940s. The applicant has improved and upgraded the appearance of the park over the years, certainly since they acquired the property in 2010. And the layout of the site integrates with the existing mobile home park. The proposed use in the structure will be in harmony with the general purpose of this zoning bylaw, and that is particularly true with this type of use. One of the purposes under the zoning bylaw is that the use of the property and projects that are approved will be encouraging housing for persons of all income levels. That is a purpose and intent of the zoning bylaw. This average new home or home sale, not necessarily new home, the average home sale in the town of Danvers right now is $605,000. These two-bedroom homes, and this is a home ownership opportunity for the residents who live here. The residents will own their own home. These homes will be sold in the average of $199,000. That's certainly significantly different than $605,000. So the home is, again, a two-bedroom home, $199,000. On top of that, you have your pad rental, which is $410 a month. That pad rental includes water and sewer, trash removal, and plowing. So if you were to finance your home, that's $199,000, and you have your monthly pad rent of $410, it's about $1,200 a month that you could live in this particular development. Affordable housing, as we know it under the state and federal regulations, in the Danvers area, an affordable two-bedroom home is $260,000, and that's if you can find one. Rent for a two-bedroom home in the town of Danvers, affordable rent, is $2,040 a month. That's simply beyond what some people can afford. So having homeownership opportunity for the mobile homes at about $1,200 a month really does meet a critical need in Danvers to provide housing and support the purpose of encouraging housing for persons of all income levels. We appeared before the Danvers Affordable Housing Trust last week and discussed this project, and the Affordable Housing Trust agreed that this meets a need and voted unanimously to send to you a letter of support that I do hope that you have received in your package.
We did not, but I believe
Chairman Trask is here.
Trask is here tonight, yeah.
And I'm glad he is here then, because if you didn't receive that letter, because again, it was a unanimous vote. And as he will no doubt state, this does provide not only affordable housing, but affordable home ownership opportunity. The density, as we're showing here, is in keeping with other mobile home parks. You know that there are a number of mobile home parks along Route 1. The density per acre is in keeping with others along this corridor. It's quite similar, in fact. There's a mobile home park at 460 Newbury Street that is at 16 units an acre. 103 Newbury Street is about 11 units per acre, and what we're proposing here is 15 units an acre. So that is similar and in keeping with the densities that you see in other mobile home parks. The mobile homes, as laid out, as Will indicated, all meet the setback requirements in this zoning district. And with that, we believe that this proposal will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood and is an appropriate use of this site and certainly meets a need for affordable, truly affordable housing. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Attorney McCann. Before I turn it over to the board, I just want to get one thing clear. There is, I guess, Brian, this view will work. Is there this kind of a pseudo access road currently?
Yes.
And that is there because of the drainage that was put on site?
This?
Yes.
Is that the Chase Street,
Is it? I didn't think
So
it
that
was
that
right.
had nothing to do with
Yeah.
the improvements you mentioned where you added drainage?
Oh, no, that was for the sewer line that went in. It is not.
So
have to do
this
with
road was
drainage.
for the sewer line, or that road was always there?
Yeah, so it's a gravel road that was constructed for the sewer project. And I'm
So-
sorry if I misspoke, but the drainage has nothing to do with that road.
Okay, so that was just an access point to be able to do this, the drainage improvements?
That was constructed for the sewer project, which was a few years ago. So independent, and we're just showing this as that it would remain, but it would be an emergency access route.
Okay, so it was put in because of the drainage improvements?
Sewer.
Sewer.
Sorry, sewer
Yes,
improvements.
correct.
Thank you. Not stormwater drainage, okay.
And it is not used for access now, and it is not proposed to be used for access. And
Okay, is there a gate or something, Jersey barriers or anything on Center Street? Can anyone just drive down this road as it is today, before anything's
I
done?
don't know if anybody can drive down, but perhaps excuse me, can I answer the question?
Hold your comment, please.
This would be something that would come up during site plan review if a gate is needed, because as emergency access, that's all we're proposing that it be used for. It would be common for us to work with the fire department to establish the
Sure,
type
sure,
of
no,
gate that they want.
Okay.
So
I understand that,
that's-
so, but this is from Center Street?
Correct.
Okay, that's all I wanted to get out.
Yep.
All right, I will turn it over to board. We'll start down there with you, Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, you asked my first question about the gate. Attorney McCann, in your little detail of the typical mobile home layout, it shows a parking area 12 feet wide. So I guess you wouldn't be able to get two cars side by side in that space, right?
Not side by side, but certainly
It's
tandem.
18 feet deep, so
You
they
could
would
do
park end to
tandem.
end. Okay. I guess, is Timor Properties is this a co-op or is this a for-profit company?
It is not a co-op.
Okay. All right, I don't have any other questions.
Thank you. Ken?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to ask this question. I don't know if you know the answer to it, but back in the 50s when this was created, there wasn't a certain number of mobile homes that could be placed on here, correct? Like, they didn't just all of a sudden went, we're putting 72 mobile home park in there. There was no number, correct? It doesn't state anything on the docket sheet about a number.
Yeah, this started actually in the 40s,
Okay.
which would have predated zoning.
And then they just kept expanding on it, correct?
To the extent that it was allowed in the zoning districts as those districts evolved, it may have continued to expand. At a time when this became a non-conforming use, which certainly would have been when this became highway corridor, which was not all that long ago.
Right.
Since that time, this site has come back to you for findings to expand and add mobile homes.
Right, but in the details on the docket sheet, there's no numbers. There's no numbers as to,
That's right.
how many we have, how many we can, potentially have. So you're going from 72 units to 107?
Correct.
107. I think that's the only question I had.
Thanks, Ken. Ken J.
So at the beginning of the access road, or that fire road that you said is going to exist, to the left there was some utilities, some like a transformer or something. It seemed to be set back and have brush all around it. I was just wondering if you're gonna, do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, that,
It's our pump station that ejects the
okay.
sewer out of the property.
Okay, I just wanted to know what that was. And also, I think it should be, looked like some brush was around it and stuff. It should be
Hold on.
cleaned up.
If you're going to speak, please identify yourself. Go up to the microphone.
My name is Michael Dodge. I live at 252 Newbury Street in Peabody, Mass. I'm a property manager at Timar Properties, and that is the pump station you're looking at. So it highlighted in blue on that map. And there is overgrowth right now. We have got a contractor coming in to get rid of all that overgrowth and put some stone down around it.
Okay, good, yeah, because it just looked like it should be clean, more clean for access and.
Correct.
So, all right, thanks. Also, Attorney McCann, do you, I know we're not talking about the existing trailers on the property right now, but do those meet all the setbacks?
No,
Okay,
they don't.
non-conforming, all right. I was just wondering if the spacing, because they seem more closer together and is sort of random when I drove through
Very
there.
hodgepodge.
I think you're correct. They're closer together and they're a little more hodgepodge, and they have been just what has it developed over the years. Some of them are old, certainly older. Most of them are older.
Yep.
And they do not meet the setback requirements, but what's proposed certainly does.
Okay, but yeah, but the new ones will. all
And
they look
what I will point out, Brian, if you could go a little up. There. What I will point out is the new mobile homes are shown in orange here, and they will not be visible at all from Route 1. This building is 100 Newbury Street. That has a Yellow Jackets gym is located in there. That's a 2-story building, and that will completely hide the new mobile homes that are proposed. So you won't see the mobile homes, the new 35 homes from Route 1 at all.
Yeah, I'd be more worried about them seeing Route 1. I don't mind seeing the homes. But, yeah, it looks good that they are spaced out nicely, the new ones.
Any more questions?
Thanks. No, I have no other questions.
No,
Thank you.
thanks. Corinne?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With regard to these new trailer homes that you're, I guess, going to purchase, will you purchase all 35 and then people have the option to purchase or lease? How does that work?
No, they're not purchased typically what we'll call on spec. They're not purchased in advance. The owner of the property may buy a couple and put them on the pads, and then people can just come in and purchase them. Other times, they work with people who want to buy a mobile home from the mobile home companies. The owner of this property does not finance the mobile homes. They do have banks that they can direct the purchaser, homeowner to, and but the homeowner can go to any bank they want to finance the home, and then it's brought to the site and put onto the pad.
Okay. So all of these trailers are going to be purchased and then brought to the site, but the people that purchase them, as you said, the owner might purchase one or two. Does that mean that people can purchase them and then rent them out, or do you want all like owner occupied?
I don't believe it's required that they be owner occupied, but
When we first took over up there, we had 3 landlords that owned like 14, 15 homes. We're now down, they all only own 1 home because we want owner-occupied people. They have more personality to the park than someone that's subletting.
Okay.
So we're eliminating the subleasing, we're trying to get away from it, and it's still a difficult task because we have to deal with the Attorney General's office and stuff like that.
Okay. And what about the mobile homes that are already on the site and, kind of in that hodgepodge, and you said that some of them are older? What happens to those? Like, would someone put their mobile home up for sale? Someone could come in and purchase it? Or do they have the option to remove it off the site and someone else could buy a new one and bring it there? Like, what are the options people have?
We ourselves have purchased quite a few of the hodgepodge homes, and
Okay.
we're in the process of getting them out, getting permitting, bringing new homes in to set them up. I mean, the people that own it, they own their own home.
Right.
So if they want to sell it, they're entitled to get a realtor, put it on the market, and sell it. Unfortunately, when you're dealing with the older homes, it's cash sale only. There's no bank's going to finance an older home.
Right.
So that's where those folks kind of get up against it a little bit, trying to find that cash buyer.
And what is the value of one of the older homes?
Every mobile home values is different. I mean, I used to estimate mobile home values years ago. Everyone is different. They're all got different options, if you will, inside them.
What is the range for the older ones, though, compared to the newer ones?
I would say the
that
older
are-
homes probably range $20,000 to $40,000 versus the new. But the new homes, you're talking just buying the home from the manufacturer is $80,000, $85,000.
Okay.
So, and then we have to do a pad. Everything's got to be done by HUD, into the HUD code. So there's a lot of work that gets put into it.
Okay. Okay. And Mr. Chair, I have a question
Sure.
for the Planning Department. When we had that last application from the trailer park to expand we were kind of notified that these trailer homes don't count towards our affordability numbers, and actually, they hurt us in that regard because they count as like a regular home. So I don't remember, and maybe you can remember, how many did we allow with that application? Was it 12 or 15?
No. Oh, you're not this site.
Right.
The other site.
Oh, the
Okay.
Shady
Yes.
Acres or
Shady
whatever.
Oaks or whatever.
Shady Oaks, I believe they requested 15 and you granted them 12.
Okay, so that's what I thought. I thought it was 12.
Yep.
So if we have 35 and 12, we now have
47.
47? So that's quite a hit for us in 1 year, as far as these really are affordable homes, but not only are we not getting credit for affordable homes, we are actually taking a hit the other way.
And we're adding to our count.
I mean, according to the subsidized housing inventory, we are taking a hit. I think some housing advocates would say that this is still a very large win, even if the numbers aren't showing on the SHI. Yeah, just that. But yes, it counts towards the denominator, the total housing units. But as of right now, we are well, or I wouldn't say well, but we're certainly above the 10% based upon other decisions that this board has actually made. So we are still offset at the moment, but you are 100% correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
There's certainly been an attempt over the years for the legislature to change that provision that does not allow mobile homes, which are truly affordable housing, to be counted as affordable housing. And there is continually an attempt to get the legislature to address that, and hopefully someday they will do that, because these are more affordable than a lot of the affordable homes.
Oh, no, I agree 100% with that. I am all done. Thank you.
Thank you, Corinne. I tend to agree, too, based on the numbers you have given us, Attorney McCann. And I think when it comes to the legislature, it could be decades, never mind years. Anyways, I have a number of questions. I just wanted some clarity. You said the density on this lot would be, if granted, 16 units per acre. Did I have that right?
15.
I'm sorry?
15 units an acre.
15? And I did not hear the numbers of what you were comparing to. What are some of the other units per acre on some of the other ones?
460 Newbury Street. That is a 2-acre site, which is denser than this. They are at 16 units an acre.
16?
Yes.
Okay.
And 103 Newbury Street, which is Shady Oaks. That is also on a 2.5-acre site. That is at 11.25.
Okay,
units
so
per
11 and 16 were the two.
Yep.
Okay, and what about snow storage on this lot? I don't see any details around that.
There will be much detail on snow storage at the site plan.
I
stage.
agree with that. However, I guess I'm a little reluctant to throw a decision over the wall to the planning board without at least talking about it a little bit and having a little bit of an understanding as to what or where is probably better said.
There's actually quite a bit of space on this site for snow storage compared to most, but there will be a requirement under the site plan regulations that require snow to actually be removed from the site
If it can't be
cannot be
stored, I understand.
accommodated in the areas designated on the site plan.
So there's not a designated spot right now?
There will be.
There will be, okay.
Yes, absolutely. That's a requirement of the site plan
Yep.
that we show snow storage.
Okay, and I did a site visit actually today, and I just want to make sure I have it right. So from Route 1, I believe there's 3 entrances? There's 4, okay. I am looking here and I only see 3, so I guess if you could show me the 4.
Can you put the actual plan up that we submitted, Brian? And then we'll have Will answer.
I know there's somewhat of an island, it's that first entrance, if you will, when you come off Route 1, and I think you can kind of peel right back and get out, and then if you go down one of the roads, I see a curb cut, but I don't see a fourth.
There we go.
That's a dead end. Yeah, so I don't know where the fourth is. I see one here.
So this is actually going to be curb cuts here too, just not drafting correctly.
All right, so that's a dead end right now, right?
So there's 3 active entrances right now, not 4. Is the proposal to have a
Yeah,
fourth?
There's we're not going to add another curb cut.
So there's 3. I am correct in saying there's 3.
Yep.
Very good. Okay. And Attorney McCann, my colleague here, Ken, referenced the existing site. And as you know, we always try to leverage to get our way on these things. There's a few bugs I have about the existing site that I'm hoping maybe we can ferret out here and have some improvements. But when you talk about the landscaping and that type of package for the planning board, is that it's only going to be in regards to the new section, correct? It's going to be nothing addressing, let's just call it, for lack of better words, the hodgepodge area.
Well, the hodgepodge area has already had some significant improvements along the streetscape. You notice that there's new landscaping all along Route 1. The site plan will focus on the new area.
But not,
What are you looking for?
well, I'm, again, I mean, I can save this for comments, but like some of the street signs, the mile per hour signs, they just don't, they look like they're done in crayon. I mean, it's just not a good look.
Okay.
And I my feeling is the mobile home owners too would like something that's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing to the eye. So that's one thing I noticed when driving through there. The other thing I wanted to understand, again, on the existing area, what are the limitations for what owners can park on their sites? I see a lot of, other vehicles, maybe not even registered vehicles. Is there a set rule from 10-mile, I guess it is, about what each trailer is allowed to store?
Yes, and we have some litigation going, so I really can't get into it with you,
Okay.
but.
So that is
Those
something you...
unregistered vehicles, we are addressing them.
Okay, so you're continually having to work that out, okay.
Absolutely, but it's in our rules as well.
Okay. And what about, Attorney McCann, dumpsters? Will there be any dumpsters either in the old area or the proposed new area?
No, we don't have dumpsters.
No dumpsters. So it's all trash pickups done through trash company, okay. And then the other thing is, you're obviously increasing the impervious here. Again, I know this is more on planning, but I would think that there's going to be a significant landscaping improvement here.
There will be a significant landscaping improvement. There will also be a stormwater management improvement because stormwater management is part of site plan review. The town engineer will review this plan for stormwater management, and there is no doubt that the existing stormwater management will be improved because that's going to be required, as well as dealing with new stormwater.
Okay, I guess
Not
that's- that-
over percentages of impervious surface.
Okay, I think that's my follow-up. So is there stormwater management currently?
Currently, I don't believe there's any stormwater management
Okay.
that's been implemented.
So while you're there, is the new proposed area going to tie in with the old area? Or, again, is this planning board, or is that something you'll take as a condition? Because I can see that being significant.
We're going to have
So,
to attend the planning meeting.
This This is a planning board issue. The stormwater for the entire site will be reviewed. There are different standards for existing development versus the proposed, but whatever happens here, from a stormwater standpoint, is going to be an improvement. And the new area will have to meet current stormwater requirements.
Well, I
So
understand that, but that's the new area, right? That if we did nothing, then things would just stay as they are. I guess the point I'm looking for, or maybe the bite at the apple I'm looking to get is, I know you're gonna do everything as it needs to be done in the new area, but how can we help the old area? And that's where I'm at with it.
Okay, Will's going to...
Brian, will planning require them to upgrade the old area?
It wouldn't be excuse me, it wouldn't be planning. It would be the stormwater regulations that are going to
Well,
be
that's part of the whole site, though,
here.
right?
Not even the planning board. It's mostly going to be the stormwater permit that's driving the major design here.
Correct. So full site will fully comply, any new work, but we also typically work with the engineering department, and if there are improvements that we can make for the existing site as well that are affordable and reasonable, then we accommodate.
Well,
those.
that's the key word, right, affordable. Okay, and Attorney McCann, I think your property manager mentioned that there's been a number of mobile homes that were replaced, that were in disarray or bad. How many out of the 72 have been replaced, let's just say in the last 4 or 5 years?
Maybe possibly 8 of them, just going off the top of my head.
Okay, so less than 10. Okay, I think I unpacked everything I wanted to know about it. I guess lastly, I think I know your answer already, but why 35?
Why 35?
Yeah.
Because it lays out well on the site, and there is certainly a significant need for these units, and we are going to be making improvements to the site generally and to this area. So that's what works financially. It's got to work financially. I tell you this with every project that I bring. If it doesn't work financially, it's not going to happen.
That's why I said I'd know your answer.
Right. So this particular property owner has been studying this for probably 2 years to come up with the correct layout, the correct mix, and taking into consideration everything that goes on the site, and wetlands and stormwater management that we've just talked about. So that's what makes sense for this project.
Well, I guess what I'm driving at is, couldn't we say instead do 35, do 32, 30, and add a little more space or open space or some gathering areas or something of that nature, picnic table areas, some type of outdoor space, which the plan doesn't show at all.
Mm-hmm.
Could that be done?
We could certainly discuss that, yeah.
Okay. All right, that's it for me, unless there were additional questions from the board. Okay, I'm going to go out to the public. This is for 98 Newberry Street. And please...
Guy Natraska's first.
Yep, hold on one second. I'll start here, and I'll go to you next, Carter.
Hello, my name is Jane Thornell, and I'm a homeowner at 182 Center Street. I'm actually a steward for probably the oldest house in Danvers, 1726, and I will show you where I am here. I'll walk away and not say a second. This is my property right here. Obviously, I'm a direct abutter and really have a lot to say about this project. First of all, and this is why I was waving madly, this has been tossed around quite a bit on social media, And the reason that I wanted to come first is because it really had deteriorated into if you're opposed to this, you're a bad person, you don't want to, to help people out. And if you're for it, you're a good person. And I really just want to say that we all know in this room that there are certain types of facilities that if our property abuts, then our property is not going to be worth what it was worth. Now, this includes a cemetery. I have nothing against dead people. Hospitals, I worked in hospitals. I just retired after 50 years of being a registered nurse. I have nothing against hospitals, people who work in hospitals or patients, but this is just the reality. I mean, if you wanted to put a shopping mall, I love to shop. I would still be here at this podium.
Sure.
I do not want to see my home take a 10 to 15 to maybe 20% decrease in its value. There isn't a soul in this room that would put up their hands and say, pick me. I want my house to decrease in value.
Sure.
So that's why I'm here. When I first got my little postcard, I don't have a lot of experience with mobile homes, so I went ahead and I toured 98. I toured it once, I toured it twice, I toured it 3 times. Again, I don't have a depth of knowledge, so I visited 7 of the.
Could you just pull that microphone a little closer? There you go.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
7 of the mobile home parks that we have between Center Street and Lowell Street. I did south, I came north. The first thing to notice is I didn't see one that had a view of a residential area. They were, especially the north, they're sandwiched between Route 1 and Route 95 with no abutting
Yep.
residential.
No, I think we've got your
neighborhood.
point. You're a direct abutter, and this is something you'd see.
A direct abutter, exactly. So I actually went ahead and got an idea of what was an above-average mobile home unit, or what was average and what was below average. 7 sites I visited. One was head and shoulders above the others. I'm not going to mention names, but they were extremely elderly units, and they were well kept. The grass was cut. People were out. The children were playing. And the 2 that were below, unfortunately, are both in Danvers, and 98 is one of them. I went to 98. The first thing I noticed, that you cannot get, people are parked all over the streets. Now, the reason is because there's a lot of debris. You're very close to, I'm surprised if it's 12 feet. It looked to be 8 to 10 feet to me, where you could pull a car in. However, these areas, these pad areas are full of debris. I don't know whether it's storage or rubbish or construction. I have no idea. But I'm thinking that that's why I saw so many cars parked in these very narrow streets. So if you had any kind of an emergency, if you needed a fire engine, if you needed an ambulance or a police car, they could not get through because of the parking. When I was there was a large Xfinity truck. He was lovely. I was in no hurry. I wasn't driving an ambulance to an emergency. He had to come down from where he was, and then he had to back and forth all of these to get so that you could pass. So in terms of safety, I mean, we don't need more of this. We need less of this. We need to be sure it's affordable housing. Who needs affordable housing? Oftentimes, it's women with young children, and that is not fair to go to bed and have to cross your fingers that nobody is parked illegally so that if there's an emergency that someone could get in. I saw vacant lots. I saw what you saw. I saw a number of different mobile units that clearly were not inhabited and could not be inhabited. I saw the unlicensed cars as you did. I mean, none of this gave me an assurance that whether it's 3 or 33, that this next project was going to be any different. And I'm sorry, when Attorney McCann is talking about the improvements, I just can't imagine what it was like in 2010. I don't know if there aren't rules or whether the rules aren't enforced, but I didn't see the trash in the other units. I didn't see the illegal parked. There's no place for visitor parking. There isn't one slot. If I was visiting someone there, where would I park? There's no place for a child to play. There's certainly, and here we are, packing this area. And again, in 5 or 10 years, it will look exactly like there isn't a bush or a tree. Now, I don't want to paint with a broad brush, because you could see some people were taking excellent care of their units, but let's face it, you saw it, they're few and far between. Again, safety, I think, is a huge, huge concern in existing. And it would be the same. As a matter of fact, it might even be more of a risk to come out to those. Again, no place, owners have, really, I don't know. The owners, I think, have a lot of chutzpah to come to ask for more until they do everything to go ahead and make this park not at least average, not below average. Again, of the 72, I'd be very interested to know how many of those are occupied, because so many of them did not look like they were occupied. Danvers doesn't need more. I know the neighborhood doesn't need this. Danvers, we can do better in Danvers. If we need affordable housing, I think we can do better and safer than they're proposing here. Again, I would be looking right at them, and that just doesn't seem fair to me. It's really a burden for the neighborhood. I listened to hear that they have been talking about this for 2 years. Did they ever think of coming into the neighborhood and knocking on a door and saying, oh, by the way, how do you feel about what if, we want to do this? Nothing. Unlike the previous one, where they went all up and down in the neighborhood to talk about this. There was nothing until that little card came to me, which, by the way, did not come to either one of my neighbors. I don't know what happened there, but thank goodness I reached out to people to see how they felt. But again, I don't want this to deteriorate into a, people are bad if they don't want this, because this is strictly business, and I don't know of a soul that would be saying, pick me, let me go ahead and have my property, my home, be worth 20% less than it was last week. So I really would like you to take a look at this. Again, I'm very disappointed that it wasn't, Home Depot is right here. This is commercial property. This is residential. This is our neighborhood. These are our people here. So why, they could not take a peek? I know I heard something about wetlands, etc. Maybe they put less mobile homes over there, but I think to come into our neighborhood this close, and I'm hearing that nobody needs to worry because it's not visible from Route 1. As people go down Route 1 60 miles an hour, I'm not concerned about the visibility from Route 1. I'm very concerned about the visibility from our homes and our neighborhood. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. I'll go to Mr. Trask next.
Good evening. Gardner Trask. I'm here representing I'm the chairman of the Danvers Affordable Housing Trust. And I wanted to talk about some of the comments that were made about affordable housing tonight. One is, yes, on 9/20 we had a public meeting where this presentation was offered and discussed by the members of the trust. It was voted unanimously to send a letter of support. And I'm sorry it didn't get to you. I've reached out to Aaron Henry for it, and I'm assuming it'll get to you shortly. But in effect, what we said from the Affordable Housing Trust is that this represents a unique opportunity for home ownership, home occupied ownership in an affordable manner. There was a categorization of what affordability means. Now, first of all, I know this board, from having heard me say it many times, there's a large difference between affordable and low income. This is not looking a low income opportunity. affordability in Danvers, and we just got the 2023 numbers from the DHCD, you could be a family of one, a single person, could be making $89,877 and be considered affordable by the state's regulations. A family of two can be making $102,000. That's not low income. We did a study not long ago when we had some other issues, and a large majority of the first year employees in Danvers would all be covered. All the teachers, all of the line people, and many of the professionals in town would be considered as an applicant who could get affordable housing. Affordability. So it's affordability, it's not low income. I know you know that. I'm speaking to the audience often when I say these things. It is an ownership opportunity. I heard the question about 40B and whether this affects us. So we haven't had the opportunity. We did recently have a press release announcing that based on the 2020 census, excuse me, our affordability is over 10%, which satisfies the state 40B mandate. The trust is not concerned only with the 40B mandate. We're concerned with providing affordability and affordable opportunities in town. So, to the very question you asked about what happens if 30 units are added, 30, 32, 35, whatever the number is. Obviously, if it was 30-something, let's just say 30, we'd have to come up with 3 more affordable units to stay above our 10%, understandably. However, we won't have to do that until 2032. When the 2030 census is ratified, we're over 10%, we will remain over 10% for the next 10 years. And so we already have in the plans something that plans and have been approved. This board, who was participants in some of them, Maple Square is going to put us further ahead, and the Home for the Deaf is going to put us even further ahead. We're not worried that these 32 will impact our numbers and cause us to be below the 40B threshold. We're satisfied and happy with that. These properties already, the abutters already abut a mobile home opportunity, a mobile homes area. So, and there is no, and we have this discussion often with what happens with an affordability home. There is no empirical data to show that a home or a mobile home park decreases the value of the bordering community. They're already there. Those homes already border a mobile home park. Adding 32 is not further going to decrease the value of the homes if there were a decrease based on mobile homes. So just to wrap up, it won't hurt the current 40B by adding these. The Affordable Housing Trust feels it's a beneficial thing to provide home ownership. Many of the things that this board and the planning board approves are either condos or rentals. This is home ownership, and we appreciate the opportunity, and that's the letter you would have received from the trust, and I apologize that you didn't. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, we'll go right there.
Hello, I'm Cameron Zarine, and I own this property.
If you could just state the address for the record.
168 Center Street.
168.
I'm the manager of 168 Center Street LLC. And that's basically, this is my property. And I'm from both sides kind of like basically getting impacted by this development. So what I wanted to bring up a few things here. One of them is when we say, well, your property was already abutting a mobile home. Well, the mobile home was in a non-conforming kind of like zone, and it was way back. And now we are saying that, well, you should have kind of like guessed that it would have come right into your backyard and basically on the side of your house. That's a little bit stretching. Then that's kind of like one thing I wanted to bring up. The second thing that we seem not to pay attention to, what we already have here, we all have gone to, I actually drove here and I got stuck. I had to find my way out of here. So thinking that this is just an emergency road, when all of these $100,000+ homes are going to be here, and these guys, which is 2 cars per
If you could go back to the mic, I think we know what you're talking about, yeah.
So sorry about that. I'm a little bit nervous. So.
No, no problem,
So,
take your time.
So 70 kind of like cars, they are going through that narrow kind
Yeah,
of.
I think the person who spoke prior detailed that, and I saw it myself firsthand.
Yes, but my point is this, that for all practical purposes, that emergency road to Center Street that we are talking about, this is just emergency road, no one will drive on it.
Yep.
I guarantee it to you that would be, gets opened up for public because there is will be congestion there.
Well, I think the applicant said that they would, that would be a discussion for the planning board and whether a gate would be put in, but we're not really here to decide
Well,
about the road as much as we are the other points you bring up, which is,
they kind of like, my concern about the road is the noise
sure.
that brings.
Yeah, absolutely, understood.
So that's one thing. And then the second thing is they kind of like, when we purchased the property, right, these weren't there. So now that I'm basically renting, I have tenants, and my tenants are paying for my real estate taxes and my mortgage. One of them will be gone, I'm pretty sure, because we had a little bit of a noise issue that I had to address with another tenant I had there. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. So my concern is that the issue is not right now the property value, because who knows what happens later on. But my concern is I might not be able to pay my mortgage and my real estate taxes and the expenses because no one wants to rent from me. And that's kind of
Understood.
like a concern I have. And and kind of like when someone says there is really no depreciation in the value of the property, to me it's, can I make it to next year? And if those people are willing to put it in writing, notarize it, and pay me what I lose in rent, and I can pay my expenses, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Fine.
They're not
But
gonna-
kind
yeah.
of like that's another fact. Another thing I was going to bring up, we just keep saying that the traffic melts into Route 1. Route 1 is some huge void that takes everything. Well, from Center Street, it's a 5-minute wait every morning to get on Route 1 already.
Yeah.
So then people want to come into 114. You should see it in the kind of like, it almost reminds me of one of those World War II dog fights of the planes that people like dive from the middle
We
toward the
can certainly
114.
appreciate,
Somebody
yeah.
wants, and so adding another 70 cars there, that would be kind of like too much, in my opinion.
Sure.
Then when we talk about, I mean, kind of like from my point of view, previous performances basically show what will happen in the future. And that's another thing to consider. So that's the third thing I wanted to bring up. And again, I want to second what Jane said, as honestly, we can do better. And at the same time, maybe this plan needs to change. Maybe we should come less number of these. And
Well, I
little bit-
think all that's on the table. Yeah,
I'm willing to discuss that if you want to kind of
Yes.
like with other neighbors, we sit down and come up with something that is good for everyone. There is enough space, there is enough green space, and kind of like take it from there. That's all I wanted.
so
to
you're
say.
not in favor as currently
No,
presented?
I'm against
Okay.
this plan,
Okay.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Sorry
Yep.
again, I'm not a public speaker.
No, that's fine. There in the back in the blue, yep. And again, I'll just remind the public, if you could please identify yourself, speak into the microphone, and give us your address.
Hi, I'm Andrea Costa. I live at 191 Center Street, so I live across the street from Jane and where this proposed access road is going.
Uh-huh.
And I just wanted to reiterate a couple of points. One, you add more folks down there, and I don't know what they're gonna plan on doing with that access road, but right now, there's 2 barrels that block it off, nobody goes up and down it, there's no emergency vehicles. I don't know how many of you travel up and down Center Street, but emergency vehicles are up and down Center Street all day long, right? And if there's already congestion in the hodgepodge area,
Yep.
now they're gonna start using that road, because I'm assuming it's gonna get paved off, right? And I know it's for the planning board, but again, if the planning board doesn't approve, you know, putting a gate or something, I'm looking at where these last set of mobile homes are gonna go. They're literally on the road, abutting Jane's neighbor, and like when they say they're gonna be able to see it, you're gonna take down all of that wooded area. You're gonna kick out more animals that are already getting dismembered. We've got deer and you know, the wildlife that's already getting pushed out. So now you're gonna take out even more. We already have a problem in that area with those poor deer. They're always crossing the road. I'm always seeing them. More traffic, more everything. That road concerns me. It comes out right in front of my house. There's already problems there with people speeding up and down that street. And again, I won't repeat myself, but there's too many. I can understand maybe adding a few, okay, maybe. But again, to your point, add some park area, add a nice little play area for the kids, add 10 tops. Like, I just don't, this is too much for this area. It's, again, going back to, not being able to see it from Route 1, you're gonna be able to see it from Center Street, for sure.
Yep.
And
I think we've got that loud and clear.
yeah, so I just wanted to repeat it and support that I am also not in favor
Okay.
of this.
Very good, thank you. Okay, just no repeat comments, please. Yeah, come on up.
Hi, I'm Melissa Miller. I live at 184 Center Street. My house is the house right next to the access road. You can see my swimming pool. And then this is my yard as well, which abuts. And I live right next door to Jane. I've lived there my whole life since I was a child. Yes, where the orange squares are right now is trees and bush, privacy, safety from what goes on at that trailer park. That trailer park is definitely not up to par compared to some others that I have seen and been through. I just feel like if they do cut them in half maybe, just so they're not especially these ones, they're gonna be right up on this access road, so they clearly will have to drive onto that access road to get into their trailers if they're accessing from the Route 1 area, which I've walked through this park a few times and got yelled at with a dog. It's not a nice park, you've seen it, but my point is, that is where I live. It's not a long access road. There's plenty of space between our homes right now and the trailer park. But if they add all those, there's gonna be people walking up and down that road all the time, which is where my backyard is, my swimming pool. I don't wanna have to hear commotion. I worry for my safety, my privacy. There are level 2 sex offenders in that park. We don't know if they're gonna rent those trailers out, the people that may buy them, because if they do get low cost, whatever, affordable, but if they are renting out, I don't know who's gonna be living in my backyard. And I don't wanna have to go into my backyard where it's so secluded and beautiful and have to look at trailers. I've lived here my whole life and it's my sanctuary, and I just, cut the amount in half. Just keep some space in between the homes. That's all. And yes, the value of our homes will definitely decrease, because if I go to sell my home, which is the plan someday, and I say that's just the trailer park back there, but don't worry about it. It shouldn't affect you at all. I think that's definitely a factor.
Okay, understood.
So I'm not in favor of
Not
this
in
at all.
favor. Very good, thank you. Yeah, right here. Yeah.
Good evening.
Hi.
My name is Sandra Kesting, and I'm at 188 Center Street. I'm a direct abutter as well. I'll just point out quickly where my property is. I know I need to talk in front of this, but just, I'm going to briefly discuss this area here, okay? I do not believe that those trailers there meet the requirements for the setback for the wetlands. And I spoke with someone at the office not long ago about that. So I do believe we're going to be going in front of the commission board, for conservation, excuse me. I have a problem with those. They're too close to where, when we had a development across Center Street, I believe it was called Twin Echo. Is that, okay. They mowed down so much, and they had some stipulations back there about not building and so on and so forth regarding the conservation and wetlands back there. If you drive down there, there's sheds where they shouldn't be, et cetera, it wasn't complied with. Over here, there's really no reason for those trailers to be that close to the conservation, seeing as we've had a lot of push out from the natural wildlife on the other backside of Center Street. The deer and most wild, the deer and the antelope play, well, that's where they bed down. So I'm going to have a problem with that area there. I'm also, just a few points. I'm not going to rehash because pretty much everybody said what we all feel in this neighborhood. And I know it goes back to the planning. But that service road it's not a new service road. I'm not sure who here said it was a new service road. That service road has been there for a long, long time. It's been an easement by the side of Del Genio's home, and it went through the sale at that easement when he used to own the trailer park, and he sold that back lot. And folks are right. People are going to be very tempted if they're living directly on that service road, just squeak on by. There's two little burn barrels at the end, but all you got to do is just loop around them. They're right there, So I will be bringing that up with the planning board as well.
Yeah, we're not here really to debate that.
Right, okay. So there's just a couple of things, and I think your point was to that as well. You drove through it, and a lot can be said for the trailer park as it sits. Because I'm a direct abutter, and it's kind of difficult to understand when you see these drawings. Really, it's a lot closer than it looks to the homes that are there. I hear the goings on at the trailer park, but I moved there, so I knew it was there when I moved there. And it's mostly summer, fall, spring, summer, fall, which, we're all out to enjoy our time in the nice weather. I cannot imagine, I don't know what Ms. McCann was saying, with there's not going to be any additional noise level, bringing 35 new families in and moving those 35 new families closer to the homes that are there. We already hear what goes on at that trailer park. I didn't have a chance to do it, but for the next meeting at the planning board, I intend to bring the last year's log from the police department with me. They're well known over there. It's a regular stop for the police department. And I just feel I don't want to interfere with anyone, increasing their income and wanting to do well. This is America. But you could very well probably rent the units that are there, or maybe change what's there and bring in more professionals in the space that you have if you spent some money cleaning up the mess that's there now. I have to agree with Carmen over here. What you see in the front has been 13 years. I don't know how long it's going to take for the back end to look like the front end. But it's not going to be that long if you're not managing the property properly. And I had a quick question about the pump station. I know the sewer line was recently done from Center Street, so will the new units also be pumping into that line out to Center Street?
Please direct your questions to the chair.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. You wanting to know if ask again?
So the pump station that we had talked about earlier, I was just curious. I know they did a lot of sewer work.
Yep.
So all the units now that are there currently are into the town sewer.
Yep.
And I just want to know if the new units are going to be running into that same line that runs down into Center Street.
We'll let the applicant answer that
Okay.
when I have her back up.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Let me
And I
just
take it you're not in favor of it?
Yeah,
As
no, I'm
presented.
not in favor at all, but I just want to look at my little list here. Yeah, I'm not gonna go over because pretty much everybody covered. Like I said, it's far too many homes, far too many families in that area, and conservation is an issue as well as the service road.
Very good.
It's tempting, when you live right on it. So
Yep, thank
thank
you.
you for hearing me tonight. I appreciate it.
Bill. And I'm gonna just take one more unless there's new comments. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't, these glasses don't always work, but I will go to you next. Thank you, sorry.
Again, Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. I only have two things. One, I won't say anything about the trailer park. I'd be very concerned with the loss of the green space. It's disappearing way too fast. And the other thing is, I think you've already mentioned it, I'm very disappointed in the people we send to Boston to do the right thing and help all of us, that they haven't approved the trailers as affordable housing.
Yeah.
I know we've discussed it, maybe they've changed their mind while I've been getting older, but I
No.
don't think they have.
They have
I'm just
not.
very disappointed that they don't do what a majority of the people, maybe not all, but a majority of the people want done in this state. Again, I'm very disappointed in them. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, miss, sorry. I'm blaming Ken, he saw you the whole time, I just didn't see you.
Okay, I'll be brief.
Your name, please.
Okay, my name is Susan Berry. I live at 189 Center Street. I've lived there all my life, which is 76 years.
Awesome.
So I've watched that whole area become whatever. It's gone from very rural, where I grew up, to a mecca of who knows what.
Yep.
And anything goes on Center Street, it seems. And they go fast, very fast on Center Street.
I agree with you.
Okay, so all right, that's enough. My major concerns, and I've been hearing them brought up here tonight, and I've watched in that area the wetlands totally invaded. In back of me, there's everywhere, all around me, and it's a shame. And it's changed the water pattern with 3 different projects. I've gotten water here, I've gotten water there, and I've watched it happen. So the wetlands are a big issue to me in that area, as in anywhere. Secondly, I've watched the wildlife be driven away, totally away. They have no place to live. In fact, they're attacking people, because they have no place to live. So those are 2 just natural things. And of course, my major issue, which everybody has already talked about quite a bit tonight, is that access road.
Yeah.
I watched it be put in at the time when it was put in. There was a lot of talk about it, and we were assured it would only be an access road for emergency. And I must say it's been true to the word. It's only been used for access all this time. Now, I don't know, with all of a sudden, in almost doubling, not doubling, but 50% increase of who's going to be living there, that it might not change. Things do change, and people do try to get away with things unless somebody is policing it. That's the other thing that I know the Danvers Police Department, and I know them well because my house was recently broken into, and they were unbelievably amazing. But they are severely understaffed from what I hear. They have short offices. Our fire department is stressed to the hilt. We've had a massive fire in the past at our place. They were amazing again. I can't praise the town enough for their services. Secondly, every time I turn around, there's a water ban in Danvers. then, yeah, and we're going to have more people coming in everywhere I look. More homes, more homes, more homes. Yet, we have rain for days and days and days, and we still have a major water ban. So I don't get it.
It's I agree
So,
with you
okay.
on that, but I will make this statement, as I've done in the past. We are not permitted to deny an application based on
Right.
the needs
Okay.
of water.
I appreciate that, and I
Yeah.
almost apologize before I start.
No, that's okay.
But
eh,
one question to that is, who do I direct these concerns to? To which group?
Well,
So then the next meeting comes up,
that's
I
a
go.
good question. I'm going to go to my planning director and pass the hot potato. I don't know. Is the quick and short answer? I don't know.
You don't
But
know.
I do know we're not, schools, drain on the school system, drain on the water system is not a reason that we can deny an application.
Okay.
And Brian, perhaps you can expand on who this person could see to, is there anyone at Town Hall that handles this type of area?
I mean, I'd be happy to sit down with you, but generally, yeah. I mean, when it comes to school, you can't deny housing for, you can't necessarily say that we're closed for shop.
Right. I would just say, like, we're going to build a wall around Danvers and nobody else can come in.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that. I must say, our neighborhood has been extremely comfortable, or I don't know if it's comfortable, like
Yeah,
tolerant
no,
or
I
accepting.
think we're getting a good picture of it tonight.
But no, I'm talking about two specific things.
Yep.
We had we have two hotels right in our neighborhood, and both of them were opened up to housing at one time, and we were supportive of it all. It's not like we don't want to help people. We do want to help people, but I'm done.
Very good.
I'm not in favor of it.
Not in favor. Thank you. Okay. And I think this is going to be our last comment for the evening. Yep.
Joanne Ragucci, town meeting member, precinct 2. I know it was discussed what the density of the park is going to be with this proposed new construction. What is it currently? I don't know if we mentioned what it
All
was.
right.
Do you
Well, I'm
accept
going to have Attorney
speakers
McCann
that
answer
are,
all these questions at the end.
That's
listening
my
and
first
re-
So
question.
density
remotely.
currently. And go ahead, you're next.
Okay, and then how many abutters are here tonight, property owners? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 people who have skin in this game, financial skin,
Yeah,
quality of life skin,
we're hearing it.
and is the owner of the property, of the TMAR properties here tonight? Yes. And who's that? Can they identify themselves?
and one remote.
The owner is present? Okay. So my point is that what was said by Attorney McCann was that when you asked the question, Mr. Chairman, why 35 units? Why the number 35? Well, it worked. So it worked for a financial profit for this property owner to put in to get 35 units approved. It does not work for the neighborhood, for the environment that surrounds this property. It does not work for the residents, the current residents of Danvers. And I don't want that to get lost, and I don't think it will. I know it's not falling on deaf ears. So I am definitely not in favor of the way this is being proposed right now. I think the hodgepodge area should be significantly improved before this property owner even comes back to ask for an expansion. I can't even say, oh, we'll cut them back. No, I think what's going on in there right now has to undergo a significant improvement before they can even think of encroaching more on this neighborhood. And I think that should be taken into very serious consideration as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Okay,
Chair,
at
Chair,
this
one
point-
more thing. There was, I believe, a member of the community trying to get say
Online.
something online. Mr. Michael. Oh, it's cut off for.
Okay, and we'll finish with him. Michael, are you out there? You're free to
So
speak?
he signed out and then just signed back in, but it looks like he's.
All right, well, while we're waiting for Michael, Attorney Buchanan, perhaps, I know there's a lot of questions were brought up. Perhaps, I think it was around wetland, green space,
Vacancies,
the access road, I'm sorry?
vacancies, if there are any vacancies.
Vacancies.
Yes, I am.
Oh,
but
sure
there's
you were
about a
jotting them.
almost
Sorry,
a
he
minute
is
delay.
he is here. Yes, Michael, why don't you go right ahead? I think there's a delay. I think there might be a delay then. He was just talking.
Technology's only good when it works.
Okay. I can understand the reason for wanting to increase the trailer park, but I believe the 4 units in the top right and the 7 trailer units that are adjacent to it are really too close to the existing property lines and will create a distinct visual distraction and reduction in the value of the area.
Okay, so if I heard you right, you're concerned about the proximity to the property line.
There's a delay there, but yeah, he's talking about the 7 on the north side here that are
It's not the 7
pointing
units that he's arrowing there, it's the ones adjacent to 168 Center Street.
to 168.
Yeah.
That's
okay,
correct.
We've got it. Near the blue square. Okay.
No,
You're
25 to 35. 25 to 35, I think he wants.
The front side towards Route 1.
It's the person online.
Okay, if that's it from Michael, I'm gonna close the
No,
public
not near
hearing.
the blue square, but nearer to,
All I'm hearing is ringing.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll close the public hearing at this point. Michael, I apologize if you didn't get all your points out, but hopefully we can move forward here and get this adjusted. Is there any way to shut that noise off?
Well, I keep muting him, but he keeps not muting himself.
Attorney McCann, if you care to respond to some of the questions, or all of them, actually, if you could.
I will try to answer all of them. I was taking notes very diligently. I'll just go through my list here. I've got some answers to some questions, and I've got some comments. There was a comment about the decrease in property values, and as Mr. Trask stated, and I will state, there is no basis to state that there's going to be a decrease in property values of 10%, 20% was thrown out. There's no empirical data that there will be any decrease in property values. This has been a mobile home park since the 1940s. Anyone who is living in this area now or owning property in this area now knows that the mobile home park was there. There certainly should be a reasonable expectation that a mobile home park on 7 acres where a good maybe half of it is vacant, that it would be a reasonable expectation that a business would be able to expand, and that is in fact permitted. Secondly, there was a statement that emergency vehicles can't get into the site. They can. My office happens to be directly across the street from this, and emergency vehicles can get into the property, and they do as necessary. And if they didn't, the police department and the fire department would certainly let us know about that. And so that is certainly a possibility to get in and out of this site. So it is not fair to say that emergency vehicles can't access this site, because they can, and they do. Much has been said about the emergency access out to Center Street. This applicant is proposing that that is an emergency access only, as it has been used, and folks living in the area have attested to the fact that it's only ever been used for emergency access. We would anticipate that a gate would be proposed and required at the site plan to make that officially an emergency access, and I would suggest that's a condition that this board could consider. Let's see. There were some comments about proximity in 168 Center Street, and noise. I believe that there is a commercial building on 168 Center Street, and that is a very active medical office building. So I don't think, I would dispute, I guess, the comments made that this is going to somehow impact from a noise standpoint or the ability to maintain that property. That is in fact a commercial office building and a medical office building at that. There were a number of comments about the wetland setback. Should any of these units be located within the jurisdiction of the Danvers Conservation Commission, which would mean if any of these units are proposed to be within 100 feet of the wetland, we would have to go to the Conservation Commission for an order of conditions under the State Wetlands Protection Act, as well as the Danvers local wetland bylaw, which is very strict, and we would certainly comply with that. With regard to comments made on wildlife and green space, this property does not exceed the permitted impervious surface in this zoning district. So we do not exceed what is otherwise permitted for development of this site. This is in the Highway Corridor Zoning District after all. Let's see. Will the pump station serve the new units? The answer to that is yes. The pump station will do that. The density, as we've indicated, is similar to density of other mobile home parks in
Attorney McCann, do you
area.
have its current density number?
Current density is 10 units an acre.
10 per?
Mm-hmm. That would be 72 units on the existing 7 acres. We have currently 5 vacancies of the 72 units, so 67 units are occupied. And I think there was a comment made about people walking down the emergency access road. That is part of this property. While we anticipate that it will be gated either by condition of this board or by condition of the planning board, that there will actually be a gate. That tail that you see out to Center Street is part of this property. I think that's it. I think that was really all of it. I don't think there were a lot of questions, but I hope I've answered them. If I didn't, let me know.
Attorney McCann, just to clarify, you did say you would take a gate on the access road as a condition?
Yes.
Okay. All right, if you have nothing further, I've closed the public hearing, and we will deliberate. Unless there's additional
I
questions.
don't know that, you
have
keep
one
saying
question.
close the public hearing. I don't know that you mean that you want to officially close the public hearing.
Not the public hearing, I'm sorry. I'm going to close comments
Got
from
it.
the public.
Okay,
Thank you. Thanks for that clarification. Corinne, go ahead.
I just have one question for the planning department.
Yep, go ahead.
Can we even ask for them to, or mandate that they put a gate? If it's for emergency vehicles, doesn't that defeat the purpose if there's a gate?
No, so there are many cases where there's emergency access with a key fob, so that only the police, fire, and ambulance can access that. So that's typically done on larger complexes, but not out of the ordinary, not an out of the ordinary condition either. I would say in this particular case, probably out of the ordinary because it should be being done when they're talking about site plan review with circulation. So I think if anything, it probably wouldn't be in the, if it couldn't be a condition in the decision, but potentially a recommendation for the planning board to consider.
Okay.
But if there wasn't going to be site plan review, I would say it would be an appropriate place for you guys to put it.
Sure.
But because there is, I would say no.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, are we ready to deliberate? We are. Jeff, I'll start down there with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will not vote for this as proposed. I think that although the applicant has a right to try to back the trailers up within 25 feet of the property line, we have a clear case where the entire neighborhood is here, and it impacts their perceived value of their properties and of their enjoyment of the properties. So at least these units labeled 32, 33, 34, and 35, I will never vote for them. Eliminating those 4 units would increase these property owners from 25 feet to 125 feet. But I'm not here to redesign their property. I will just not vote for this plan the way it is.
As presented, okay, thank you. Ken?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Attorney McCann that, in the fact that, you know, it's a trailer park that owns 7 acres of land. They have the right to do whatever they want with that. And the abutters, they should have known, you know, they have the potential to expand this trailer park. That being said, I don't agree with the amount of units at all. So I'm a no as proposed.
Thank you, Ken. Ken J.
I don't think we could do much with well, I think the property manager said he was working on the cars that were parked illegally, and there's other things that they're gonna try to do to the existing part on the southern side. So I don't think we should really penalize for that. I mean, it has been left a little disarray, but that's up to the individual owners of their plot, and it'd be nice if they can neaten it up. But these are gonna be, the new ones will be spaced out properly, and they're gonna have, you know, the proper setbacks and more space. I would be okay with it except for the 4, I think it was it 30, 31, 32, 33, and 34? What are those 4 in the back? I think if you took those off, then I would go for it, as long as the other ones were okay with Concom. Obviously, if they were fine in the wetlands and those were fine, I would be good just to get rid of those 4.
Okay, so you're currently a no,
Yeah.
based on the count.
Yep.
Very good. Corinne?
I am also a no. There are too many, and someone asked the question, I think it was John, why 35? Because that's how many you can fit on that piece of property. There was no thought about what it was going to look like. It seems as if it's putting a puzzle together. We can stuff 35, so that's how many we're going to ask for. It's too many. The front really does need to be addressed. It looks like a mess, and when you drive through, it's almost dangerous how you know, these trailers are positioned, the cars, everything about it is just, it's unsightly, and it seems dangerous to me. And again, I just think 35 is way too many, and I'm a no.
Thanks, Corinne. Attorney McCann, again, visiting the site, I think there's something said for kind of getting your house in order before asking for something like this. Look, I know there's been some improvements to this site based on an earlier decision from this board to add, I think we allowed the house to come down. I think we added 2 or 3 units.
3, I think.
My expectation when I entered the site was a lot higher than what the reality was, and I think that was eloquently stated by our first speaker in comparison to other trailer parks. Now, with that said, nobody, this board or, you know, neighbors, you can't force somebody to make their property pretty or keep it up in a nice way. However, there is a management company here, and from what I understand, you know, the manager spoke about litigation and things of that nature. I just think, for me, it's not just the count. I am not good with the count. I think it's too many. I would like to see some open space spots put in, but I would like to see, you know, a kind of a better state of the existing trailer park. And again, because my expectation was higher from what we already granted, and we did get rid of an eyesore of a house, I think, that was there. But even something as little as the speed limit signs, that says something to me. It's just not the level of care that I think this park could be at, particularly, again, because there's a management company involved. So I'm a no currently. I'm not against the project, but I do think the count's too high, and I really would like to see some improvements done on the existing site. I do, my feeling is that none of these proposed units are in the wetland setback. Am I correct to assume that? Okay. But that'll get ferreted out, and not by this board, obviously. So, you don't have the votes right now. What would you like to do? And you're looking for a continuance, so I think our next meeting is the 16th of October. And after that, I can give you the next date. It is
30th.
30th, just before Halloween.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the comments. I would like to ask for a continuance so that we can discuss what we've heard. I don't think the next meeting, I don't think in 2 weeks will give us enough time. So I would request a continuance to October 30th, please.
Okay, I've got a request to continue this hearing to October 30th. Could I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I propose that we continue this case until October 30th.
Could I get a second?
I second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you very much.
Okay, and people here from the public, please feel free to return with us on October 30th.
Oh, the Mitch McConnell there.
And with that said, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We'll all second that.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night,
Good night,
Danvers.
Danvers.